thought of not seeing someone that I see on a regular, it hurts.
Tonight on DC News Now at 9, candles and flowers line a DC library where a police officer was shot and killed in a training exercise. A week later, co-workers paid their respects and came together to support each other.
And more than 100 years after the lynching of a black man in Alexandria, dozens returned to the spot where it happened. The story of Benjamin Thomas and how the city is reflecting on his death. Plus, breaking news about former President Donald Trump, why the FBI is raiding his Mar-a-Lago home. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on DC News Now at 9. I'm Tasmin Mahfouz.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Flanagan. From sunshine to downpour in an instant. The threat of flooding, it'll stay with us over the next several days. Multiple people rescued from flash floods in Prince George's County, Maryland today. You're taking a look at some of the high water. This is out in Riverdale. You can see here the water rising quickly and also moving very swiftly. Prince George's County Fire and EMS saying several people were trapped inside their cars, but were able to get themselves out safely.
Yeah, glad to hear that. And here's another look now out on the Beltway near Bowie, Maryland. So this video came from one of our morning producers, Corey Rose. Rain just drenching the area, and we're told, fortunately, though, there are no reports of any injuries. And checking in now with our chief meteorologist, Janessa Webb.
And Janessa, we can expect to see more rain and flooding this week.
Yeah, we have multiple rounds of rain about to make its way across the DMV. Tonight, we are A-OK. We're actually drying out and seeing a little bit of clearing that will continue to take place for the next few hours. But it's almost a rinse and repeat situation due to this cold front that's sitting across northern Ohio right now. But you can see the bulk of any severe weather that we are currently dealing with is out towards the Carolinas. Tonight we are A-OK. Even tomorrow morning we are going to sit under just a few clouds, but even a glimpse of sunshine. The problem is that we have this heat and humidity that's causing all this instability across the district, and that's why we are tracking some more storms late afternoon into your evening going into tomorrow. So you can see from our futurecast, this will be on the light to scattered side with our temperatures still very warm. We'll break it down the timing in the extended forecast, but really the big story right now is the heat and humidity that continues to build. The feel-like temperature at the 9 o'clock hour across the district, 93 degrees. You make your way up towards Washington County, upper 80s across northern Virginia, slightly cooler, and that's due to the rain that we saw just about an hour ago, but it continues to really dissipate. Now we have multiple rounds of rain, but one day it's going to be widespread potential for strong to severe storms. We'll discuss that coming up.
All right, Janessa, thank you. And tonight, take a look at this, a memorial. Growing at the tree in Lafayette Park, where 4 people were struck by lightning last week. Now, 3 of those people were killed, including a couple from Wisconsin who had been celebrating their 56th wedding anniversary. Also, a 29-year-old man from Los Angeles was also killed during that strike. The 4th victim, a woman, remains in the hospital tonight. And the National Weather Service reports 13 people have now died from lightning strikes just this year. That's up from last year when lightning claimed the lives of 11 people. The year before that, in 2020, 17 people died from lightning.
And we're continuing to follow breaking news tonight out of Florida. Former President Donald Trump says the FBI is right now raiding his Mar-a-Lago estate. According to the AP, a person familiar with the situation says the action is related to a probe of whether the former president had taken classified records from the White House to his Florida residence. A spokesperson for the Justice Department said the agency would not comment when asked whether Attorney General Merrick Garland had personally authorized the search. Trump said in his statement, "This unannounced raid on my home was not necessary or appropriate." The move comes as the former president lays the groundwork for another presidential bid. Honoring an officer killed in the line of duty. Members of D.C.'s public library system held a vigil for Marisa Mannion tonight. She was shot last week during a training exercise at the Anacostia Library. That's where our Marielle Carbone is live right now. Marielle, a very difficult night for her colleagues, of course.
It was, Chris. You could see the other public library police officers that were out here tonight visibly shaken and upset, crying during tonight's vigil. And, you know, talking to the people that held this, those public library workers, they say they had to do this. She was a member of their family. Tonight, you can see the flowers and candles out here, a way for them to say goodbye to her.
Her contagious smile, even with the mask, You could see the smile in her eye, just that gleam, and that's hard to think you won't see it again.
That difficulty processing of grieving is why members of the D.C. Public Library came together Monday night, honoring Officer Marissa Mannion, who was shot and killed during a training exercise at the Anacostia Library last week. Retired MPD officer Jesse Porter, who was running the training and is accused of firing his gun, has been charged with involuntary manslaughter.
I'm hurting. I want to say I'm afraid. I almost don't know how to feel.
Dawn Fox works at the Deanwood Library, but she says she knew Mannion.
The thought of not seeing someone that I see on a regular, it hurts.
She made these placards a way for the more than 24 people gathered to hold a piece of Mannion. From fellow officers to branch managers, they're a family who say they are now missing one of their own.
As a DCPL family, we've suffered a loss. It's like any family. You suffer a loss and it hurts. There's sorrow, there's confusion, there's grief, there's not understanding. And so today we came because it was a safe place, it was here.
And at the end of tonight's vigil, the group was holding those placards that we showed you high in the air, repeating, "We love you, we miss you, and we'll never forget you." It's a message that they hope Mannion was able to hear tonight. Reporting live in Anacostia, I'm Marielle Carbone, DC News Now.
Marielle, thank you. Our thoughts and prayers with them tonight. In Virginia, dozens of people remembered the life of a black teen murdered by a mob of angry white people who lynched him at the turn of the century.
Yeah, they sang, they prayed, and they reflected, taking a look inward to the city where it all happened. Our Max Marcilla covers Northern Virginia for us, joins us live tonight from Alexandria.
Yeah, and Max, it has to be an emotional day there today.
Well, it definitely was an emotional day, 123 years in the making. It was back in 1899 that Thomas was accused of sexual assault of a white girl, but he never got his day in court because a white mob lynched him. Today, people came here to remember and reflect on both Thomas and the people who tried to protect him. We shall 123 years to the day Benjamin Thomas was lynched, Alexandrians sang as they came together at the spot where it happened, on the corner of King and Fairfax.
Do you hear the blood crying from the ground?
They marched to that corner from City Hall. That's where this art project was displayed, and students from Alexandria City High School told the story with all the hard-to-hear details.
They ran down St. Asaph Street, dragging Benjamin, first on his back and then on his face, the rough cobblestones battering his head.
An important moment for the teenagers roughly the same age as Thomas was.
Being able to stand here and tell that story of this horrific event that happened 123 years ago, but what feels like yesterday, it's a transcendent experience.
Then a moment of reconciliation. Sheriff Sean Casey acknowledging the roles his department, as well as police and city government leaders, played in the lynching, allowing it to happen despite the best efforts from several black community members.
Our profession's history of racial oppression and white supremacy cannot be overlooked, and it should not be overlooked.
For some, it was a reminder of a 2020 murder that fueled a movement. Thomas called for his mom as he was being beaten.
This reminded me of George Floyd calling out for his mother 121 years later.
But as the wreath was laid on that corner, a message both through sermon.
You have to see those who look differently from you as your brothers and sisters.
And song.
Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Now, the telling of Thomas's story is far from over. Later this year, people from Alexandria will take a pilgrimage down to Montgomery, Alabama with 2 jars of soil, one for Joseph McCoy and the other for Thomas. Those were the 2 people who were lynched here in Alexandria. They'll take the soil from here all the way down to Alabama, and they will leave them at their final resting place at the National Memorial for Peace and Justice. Reporting live in Alexandria, Max Marcilla, DC News Now.
Thank you. And developing tonight, hatred in the community. Several local officials are speaking out against yet another anti-Semitic message that was found on a well-known hiking trail just yesterday. Joseph Almos spoke to a woman who said she was horrified with what she saw.
This is the Bethesda Trolley Trail. It's lined with 5 miles of trees and quiet walking space. It's also the latest place in Montgomery County where anti-Semitic messages have been found. Swastikas spray painted in red, jarring words reading white power. It's what this runner, who preferred to stay off camera, encountered on her jog yesterday morning.
I don't even know how to describe it. It was horrifying. It was fresh red spray paint, and I just had a visceral reaction to it. I almost wanted to vomit. I couldn't believe that this was happening in my community.
Just over 24 hours after the graffiti was first discovered on this wall here, you can see it's already been painted over. That's good news, but this is nothing new for the residents of Montgomery County. Back in June of this year, these swastikas were found at a bus stop in Silver Spring. County Executive Mark Elrich on the issue.
It is crazy that you can put up Nazi symbols and not have any shame. You know, you think about what this country and the world went through fighting fascists, and the idea that there are people around who think putting up the signs of the fascist regime, you know, a symbol of Adolf Hitler is a particularly, I don't know, is that going to inspire people to support them? It's just really disturbing that you'd even think that that would be a rallying cry for people.
Reporting in Montgomery County, Joseph Olmo, DC News Now.
Yeah, so as of this hour, there's still no suspect, and county police tell us they're still investigating along with Park Police. And in his interview with DC News Now, Montgomery County Executive Mark Elrich noted that a Good Samaritan started painting over the graffiti before county employees got there. He put out a statement this afternoon saying he's saddened, upset, and quite frankly, disgusted over the incident. Elrich added that hate has no home in Montgomery County. He urges anyone with knowledge about this vandalism to call police as soon as possible.
Maryland's largest school district needs more workers as it heads into the fall. Montgomery County superintendent says 89 teachers are waiting to be approved before they start their new jobs. Another 157 full-time teaching positions are waiting to be filled. The district is 98% staffed, but says won't stop trying until that remaining 2% is filled.
That challenge is real and has brought about not only the typical cycle of retirements and major life changes, but of course, due to COVID-19, many families had to make choices.
And Dr. McKnight also said the district will look to hire more employees during the August 27th back-to-school fair at the Wheaton Mall and Montgomery County Fair, which gets underway this Friday. And in nearby Fairfax County, its school district also hiring. The job fair is happening Thursday from 4 to 7 p.m. You can either attend virtually or in person at the Gatehouse Administration Center. The school district has dozens of spots to fill for the fall.
And the cost of D.C. living is forcing more people to move away. How one West Virginia city is trying to attract families to move there.
And gas prices have dropped to a 5-month low, where you can find some of the cheapest fuel in the DMV. You're watching DC News Now at 9, covering the news from where you live, from Washington, D.C. to West Virginia. Stick around.